They created the storm just as they created the virus in the lab. What better way to execute a plan? A fait accompli 2020. Taking advantage of everyone's deep slumber, conditioning and programming. Social distancing still to be regulated as the new accepted laws. Homelessness rapidly occurring due to the newly assimilated digital currency being set up for all society. What better way than to keep the people off the streets whilst people locked in their sleep? Automated surveillance is the key. In full lockstep, the implementation of full state martial law. All this is part of their plan. To be initiated in the same single point of control. Things will get progressively worse. Global currency as we know it will crash. Homelessness will get worse. Digital currency will increase. Many more will go homeless. Mental welfare will be incredibly challenging for more and more people. People will want to escape. The system will be slowly ramped up. People will have no choice but to be tracked digitally. Central control will be able to monitor all frequencies and track devices to people. All of this will be initiated under the vaccine procedure and soon become mandatory. The digital currency will also come into play and be available to all those who've taken the vaccine. This will cause mass levels of mental stress, which they won't care about but just feed off. The police state will slowly be formed, and under the guise of a 5G D-Wave technology running through to their artificial intelligence system. This will then be incorporated into the vaccine implemented technological state, integrated into all human beings and into smart cities. This will be implemented en masse. Some will accept it willingly, some unwillingly to a degree, but the enforcement people will be on hand to establish this. Militarization will be the key. Worst case scenario, as you can see, there will be enforcers coming into people's homes, invading privacy. And people that don't accept this, there will be detainment, fines, destruction of property without warning, and vaccines enforced. AI will be used to maintain complete control over every aspect of people's lives, from travel, work, finance, health, freedom of movement, communication, friendships, and especially conformance to a social norm.
Thank you. Actually, excellent suggestions. I'd also like to, Celeste, if Celeste is here and ready to speak, I'd like to hear from you with your experience as far as working for Fema and the government and what actions they may be taking at this stage in their process.
Okay, so what everybody needs to know that back on August 15th, 2016, they put Health and Human Services put in the Federal Register an 88-page document on communicable diseases. I'm talking about all the language that we're seeing come to pass right now. And it was passed 90 days later, and it just laid in wait for us right now. And so it is actually being activated or has been activated. You need to know that it's Health and Human Services entry into the Federal Register was a UN mandate, that this is actually coming from the United Nations, and so that everybody's harmonized. That's why you're seeing everybody speaking the same language. That's why we've got the same program going out. And what I would say that we're up against right now is a soft martial law. It has not gone hard. And when they talk about waves, we have something called dual use language. And so what happens is while the waves of the virus come, they're also going to give us managed waves of a little bit of freedom, some resistance, and then we're going to be incrementally going tighter and tighter into tyranny. And so I agree with much of the other panelists where the buck stops with me as far as, resisting. I think people really need to understand what the deeper significance of what they're talking about. When they're talking about testing for COVID, it is actually a blood harvesting, and it's going into the quantum supercomputers. They are running post-crime and pre-crime, as well as, this came out about 2 weeks ago. They said, well, we got the blood anyway, so we are going to go deep into your family history. That has all sorts of ramifications because HIPAA laws have been suspended. Actually, the Constitution has been suspended, and I could spend hours going into that. The second thing is that there are 48 different vaccinations. They contain aborted fetal tissue. They contain humanized mice. What is a humanized mouse? It is a mouse that has human organs, human blood, human immune system. It's basically a mouse in a human in a mouse suit. And then they take human proteins and put it into the vascular system of plants. And then, so it's like a hybrid human plant. And they're going to mix all this in a blender with a little CRISPR. And they're saying that this is going to keep us safe from the pathogen. The last one is the one that I'm really worried about, and that's the DARPA hydrogel. Basically, it's nanoparticles, and they have been experimenting with it for 10 years. They wanted to put chips in the brain. They didn't want to have to do surgery, so they came up with this nano hydrogel. As soon as coronavirus hit, they were there. They said it's ready to deploy. And basically what they're going to sell the public is it will alert public health that you are sick before you have that scratchy throat, before you have that cough, before you get a temperature or anything. But it also does many other things. So once this hydrogel gets into your body, it is nanoparticles, so it assembles inside your body. It starts growing and fusing with your cells, your ligaments, your muscles, your bones. So in the old days with the RFIDs, you say, oh, it's not cool, I changed my mind. People got them cut out. This becomes one with you. You can't. But the absolute worst scary part about it is you become one with a computer. You become your own computer interface. You become one with the quantum computer, with your devices, with your smart, anything that you have in your house. And we are going to be told that unless we do all 3 steps, get tested, get the vaccination of whichever one they choose. They're all basically the same, but they go much deeper than pathogens. And then this sensor, that we are not going to be able to get back to normal. So that's kind of what's going on. And so part of the first part of making a decision is educating. So now you know what the basic plan for this is. And so now it's up to you to decide what your plan is, and that is you're probably going to get some consequences for that. That might be prison time. It might be being secluded in your home. You may not be able to go to the grocery store. You need to think about, okay, so what am I going to do? How am I going to negotiate that? I'm going to have a garden, so I don't have to go to the grocery store. I grow my own medicine, so I don't have to go to the pharmacy, and I get skilled in, taking care of my own health care and various other things. So you then, because you've got this knowledge now, you can make some wise decisions. But is the government going to come out and tell you about all these things? No, they're not going to tell you. I was in a Y2K, 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, and I could tell you the objectives that were achieved were hair-raising, and what you see has been a lie for a long time. So.
Hey, folks. That was from Event 202 that's ongoing now, April 30th, live around the world. And I'll be posting more of their talks on there. But you're getting a big idea of what's ahead for us all. And I want to keep furthering that conversation because it is beyond the pale of what most people can conceive would actually be happening, yet it is happening.
The thing that'll get us back to the world that we had before coronavirus is the vaccine and getting that out to all 7 billion people. Is the vaccine and getting that out to all 7 billion people. Is the vaccine and getting that out to all 7 billion people. Is the vaccine and getting that out to all 7 billion